Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today to the next September community call. So hope everyone are doing well. Thank you so much for joining again, and thanks for being here every time to learn about ToolJet and build things with it. So this time we have Arpit with us. So he would be helping us to learn through more about how we could actually use JavaScript in ToolJet and build things with it. So given we are a local platform, we have this extensible feature to write code and also build things on top of it. So it gives an expansion and also the flexibility of building applications at ease, right? So don't worry about it. It's going to be easy. If you're not sure about how you write JavaScript, not to worry about it. You can learn a lot of things from this session to handle things about it. And also Arpit will walk you through what are the things that are possible to do with JavaScript. And we'll kick off with Shubham. Shubham will help us to learn more about ToolJet product updates, releases, and much more what we have heard over the month from the last community call to so far, so ahead, right? So you might have seen a lot of upcoming releases in the last community call. So you'd probably find them live this in this community call in this month. And we'll wait for Shubham to let us know what's all we have this month and what's ahead for the next month. Thank you so much for joining again, and looking forward to chat with you along. And for any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box, and we'll look forward for it. Either we interrupt Arpit in between and ask questions, or we'll save it for later to have the question and answer section in the end. And again, thanks again. So here to you, over to you, Shubham.
Hey, thanks, Teja. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, good evening from wherever in the world you are joining in from. I'm sitting here in India. It's 9:30 p.m. here. But we are happy to talk to all of you about ToolJet product, about what we have been up to in last 1 month. I think this is the third community call we are doing with ToolJet users, and we have gotten great response in the first two as well, and excited to welcome all of you in the third call as well. Right, so let's get started. Let me quickly share my screen and walk you through the agenda for today. Just a second. Yep. So basically, we'll talk about product updates. I lost screen sharing. Just a second. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen? Teja, is my screen fine?
Yes, you're good to go.
Okay, cool. So about today's agenda, as usual, we'll talk about product updates, what we have been working for the last 1 month, and what is the agenda for ToolJet's product and engineering team for the next 1 month. We'll discuss that. And then, as Teja also said, we'll have a deep dive with Arpit on how to use JavaScript in ToolJet. Arpit is a software engineer working with ToolJet. He has developed some awesome features in the past, and will walk you through about all these new exciting things about JavaScript and ToolJet. Right. So let's get started with product updates. So in new releases, we are launching 2 new widgets, icon and link widget. Icon widget, as name suggests, it gives you ability to drop icons, font icons in your app to make it look more neater, to give a bit of better styling in the app, so that you can create more better visual interfaces with ToolJet. Right, link widget to kind of create hyperlinks in the app, so that you can have hyperlinks in various places, even in the table, in other places of the app. So we were supposed to release it this week, but we are running a little late. So we'll be releasing it on next Monday, which is 5th of October. We have added a new data source, which is called ClickHouse. So as I think this would be around 15th data source, which ToolJet will support now. We support all the major databases from PGSQL to Mongo to MySQL to Microsoft Server, SQL, Redis, and whatnot. So, and now on some demand from our community members, we have added ClickHouse. Then we have improved functionalities in copy paste feature of the app, where you can copy a component or a widget and paste it in the app. So we have improved that. Now you can copy paste across apps, across browser tabs in the same app, etc. We have also built a tighter integration with Baserow, which is a similar product, open source product to Airtable. So here we have supported a self-hosted version of Baserow also. Earlier we were supporting only open sources, only the cloud version of the Baserow. Now we support self-hosted as well. Integration upgrade, we have improved certain things in AWS S3. We support now pagination in list object functionality, which was a major problem for a lot of users in deeply integrating S3 with ToolJet. We have corrected certain issues in Stripe. Earlier, we could not send multiple objects, metadata in the app. Sorry, not multiple objects. I meant we were not able to send complex objects in the app. Now we can do that. Slack also had certain small itsy bitsy issues which were stopping users from using it in production. Now they are solved as well. And these three plugins are very well good to go for production usage. We also did some major upgrades in these 4 widgets: button, text, modal, and range picker. Modal is much more friendlier now. Earlier, we had a lot of complaints from our community members over GitHub and Slack, where it was difficult to use Modal because we were not able to see it when the mouse was not hovering over it. So I fixed those UX issues and added some new interesting functionalities as well. We have also added dark theme. Support has improved much more now. Earlier, dark theme was not working well in ToolJet. There were a lot of areas where theme was not very friendly to eye. So we have fixed that as well. So in last 1 month, we have done 2 major releases, which you can see here and see more in-depth change logs, which will give you more idea about what we have been up to. This was only I shared on the major things. Cool. Coming up next, again, just like last time, there is some secret new product which we are working upon. We were supposed to release it by the end of this month, but supposedly in this week, but we are running behind a little late because of some last minute issues. So we are still working on it, and it should be available next month for sure. We'll be working on a new component called Form Widget. There would be new integrations with Zendesk, HubSpot, and GitHub. We have started getting a lot of requests from people in the community over LinkedIn and GitHub and Slack to support these plugins so that people can build various applications and experiences. We have a new data source coming up, which is MariaDB. So one of our community members has built this plugin. We are in the middle of reviewing it, and we'll be releasing it and hopefully merging it next month. And then we are working on a major upgrade on table component. Table component is one of the most popular components in among our ToolJet customers. So we have done a code rehaul this month, and the next month we are going to add a lot of features in it, which will make it super duper powerful to be a ToolJet feature. And we have been working on improving the query builder experience. So right now, query builder just works fine for you to kind of build queries and integrate in the app, but there are a lot of gaps in UX there. So we are currently working on solving them to make it more developer friendly, so that community users, our developers who have been giving us so much love by using this product can kind of work on it more smoothly, and ToolJet makes the job much more easier, right? And finally, one of the biggest features of next quarter, I would say, is multi-page apps. So right now Yeah, drum roll, please. So multi-page apps is basically will support multiple pages in a single ToolJet application. So right now, ToolJet application can have only one view. So in future, we are creating a big app kind of thing where you can create separate pages. There would be a navigation, so it can become a full-fledged, sort of a website where there are different links, and each link has different functionalities in the app, right? So yeah, this is something which is going to change the way ToolJet can operate and can help your business run better, because building much complex apps would be much more easier, right? So yeah, this is a very power packed month we are going to have, seeing that some major features, major rehauls, and major integrations we are building. So yeah, kudos to all the team members who are working tirelessly over the next month, and also thanks for all the suggestions from our community members, because of which we are able to build this roadmap, prioritize this, and move forward. Yeah, so I think this is it from me. If you guys have any questions, would love to answer it probably at the end of the session. Or if there is anything I can answer now, would be great. I think there's nothing more. I think that's okay. Cool. Over to you, Arpit, then.
Yeah. Thanks, Shubham. So let me share my screen. So give me a minute. Yeah. Okay. So the lineup for today's call is, we'll start with why we need to write code, and then we'll go through the basics of writing code in ToolJet. Then we'll talk about ToolJet global objects and how we can access them in the application. And at the very end, we'll be building a small application with today's learning. So why actually do we need to write code in ToolJet? So given it's a low-code platform, it's easy to build application without writing any code. But allowing the developers to write code gives them the flexibility to build complex application and also customize the application to their requirements by using external libraries, transforming the data, and adding custom behavior to the widgets and queries. And the next is writing JavaScript in the app builder. So right now we can write JavaScript in the app builder using JS expressions, data transformations, and run JS query. Anything inside double curly braces is considered as JavaScript expression in ToolJet. For example, transforming a simple string to an uppercase string, we can use the built-in JavaScript method to uppercase, and it will return us an uppercase value of this given provided string. ToolJet also supports Lodash, Moment, and Axios, which makes it easier to write complex code throughout the app. So we can have a quick demo. So I'll drop a text widget, open up the widget inspector, and in the input field, we'll add our JavaScript expression by writing two curly braces with the basic string. We can easily transform a very basic string into an uppercase. I'm sorry for the typo. Yeah. And for simplicity, I'll be dropping one more widget, and we'll be using a moment library now. So we can use the moment object inside the two curly braces. Pass the given format. And we have the current date and time at my location, at least. It's 9:49 p.m. Yeah, and let's go back to the slide. Yes. Next up is data transformation. Often we need to transform the data in an application to make it more readable or to make it more usable for the end user. With the transformations applied to a query, we can change the structure of the data, filter the data, and even add custom logics into it. For example, the return response consists of array of objects in the structure of 4 key value pairs with user ID, title, and completed. Now we need to change the structure of this object to only ID and title. We can toggle on the transformation, delete the example code, and the only limitation of transformations is that it can only update the return value of the data scoped to that particular query. So for that, the query returns value is data. So we need to loop down the array, get the item, and we only need ID and title. So how we easily write JS? It's similar. So we save the query and preview the response. Now the response is transformed with our logic, which consists of arrays of objects consisting of 2 key value pairs with only ID and title. Also, we can make use of Lodash here. Actually, we don't need to write this. We can just use the omit method from Lodash, pass down the object, and the keys that we don't want to be a part of the returned output. I guess it's completed. We save the query just for the safety and preview. And I have an, okay, syntax error, my bad. Yeah, and we have the same output. Okay, now as we discussed about the limitations of transformations, it is only scoped to a particular query. So that means you cannot set any value of a widget, trigger any queries, or even call any other actions. To do any of these, you will need to use a run.js code. So you can write JavaScript code, multi-line, or even we can say complex JavaScript code in the run.js code query. So we create a query, and for very simple snippet, let's just only return math.random, which should give us a random integer value every time when we pair it. Yeah. We can drop a widget which can be binded to with an event or of an action of run
Basically,
query.
just to add, what Arpit is doing here is showing run.js query. So run.js query is nothing but gives you access to create a independent script, right? Just like in a normal web app, we can create scripts, different scripts, and then we can kind of invoke that script from various actions happening in the app, right? Or various events happening in the app. So similarly in ToolJet, we can create a run.js query, which is again equivalent to a script in JavaScript or web apps. And we can invoke this run.js query from any other part of the app, right? And that is what Arpit is trying to show now. He has created a script which is generating a random number, and now he's trying to invoke this script from some part of the app.
Yeah. So basically, we can write our custom logics in the form of run.js queries, which will be helpful for customizing the overall behavior of the application. So we need to get the return value of the query, so that can be accessed from the global variables, global objects of the ToolJet for its queries. run.js and data. So by default, it's an empty object. And on, I guess it's saved. Yeah. So on clicking the widget, so every time we click, it triggers the run.js query, which returns a random integer value. Also, as we talked about the limitation of transformers, we can trigger component specific action from here and directly set the value of the other text with this. So it updates this now. Yes, that's a very small example. Let's see what's next. Okay. Okay. Next up is importing external libraries. So I do have a snippet ready for it. Yeah. That's a very simple snippet. It's an add script function which returns a promise, which creates a script tag, adds an attributes, even lesson with results when it's loaded, and if it's error, it rejects it, and appends the body at the end. And for this, we are taking an example of math.js to do a basic mathematical computation for this. And if we do a typo for now, which we usually do, we logged. Okay, sorry, I didn't save it. I guess we should be able to log this. Yeah, we have a log, and expected very satisfied string, reserved undefined. It's coming from a different part, I guess. It's in the version 2. It's very completed. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was writing the correct script. Yeah. So we should have this undefined. Just give me a minute. Sorry, guys. And just one run, but it should not. Oh, sorry. I was consoling out. We need to throw an error to. My bad. Now we have an error in debugger, which shows we have a reference error. Nothing called add script is defined there. So we can fix it, save the query, and now we have an alert option. Okay. Fix that. And our script has been injected to the DOM. Next up, we can either use another run.js query and directly use the imported library. It's called math. We can return the pi value, save it. Yeah, we have the pi's value. Also, we can also access it at any widget inspector property fields with our JS expressions. So it's that easy to import external libraries and use it in ToolJet. And next up, I think
Yeah,
so.
maybe Arpit, you want to take a pause and let's give opportunity to people if they have any questions midway for 2 minutes.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions? If you have any queries, by the way, if our engineer is here to answer here. Oh, that's Teja.
But maybe we can quickly recap also. So what we here discussed is what are the various ways or what are the various options we have to write JavaScript code to modify the behavior of the app or to bring dynamic behavior in the app, right? So first is writing JavaScript expressions. So JavaScript expressions means that is a one-line code syntax, one line of the code or an expression which you can add in various inputs or code hinters, as we call in ToolJet, in various components and inputs of those components, or queries, or inputs of the queries. They are largely found there only, right? So there are like a lot of areas where these inputs are there, and you can write the small JavaScript expressions. For example, which Arpit showed by uppercasing a string in the code, right? So we use curly braces for that. Then second option is to use transformations. So transformations are basically sort of a function which is given to you so that you can override the output of a query. Suppose you are integrating with the REST API, you are integrating with a data source, and you are getting some data from any server. And now before you display that data to the UI, you want to do some JavaScript manipulation over that data, right? So do that manipulation. We have given a place called transformations, where you have the access to the output of that query, and you can write JavaScript to modify that data and return that data back, so that we sort of can display, or you can display it using different components back to the UI, right? So this is what we called query transformations. And third is definitely the most powerful, which is run.js, which is basically like a script tag, or a script, a JavaScript script in a web application, where you can write any JavaScript code, and it can interact, or it can be invoked from other parts of the app, so that you can build certain experiences or perform certain operations, right? So here in run.js query, you have access to all the global objects, you have access to other queries, you have access to all the components, you have access to external libraries. So sort of it has almost a blanket access of whole of the app for you to build any kind of experience or any kind of functionality, right? Yeah, so these are the top major three places where you can inject JavaScript in ToolJet, right? And now next, I think we have
a question.
Yeah. So the JS queries allow you to run arbitrary JS within the app, including modify the app state importing. Yes, so that is exactly what it is. You can this is called run JS queries, and you can write any custom code. You can import anything. You can change the behavior of the app. You can change the state of the app, like all the data points which are used to kind of display the app. You can change anything. It almost has blanket access to do anything via code.
Yes. Yep.
So the next question is, any idea to separate this functionality into? Yes, actually, you're sort of right. We should not call it technically a query. It is more like a sort of a different. We call it query because it works similarly in the product. But yeah, we should kind of separate it from actual query some point later. Definitely. Thank you for the suggestion. Cool. Let's go up with.
Yes. The next up are global objects. Now, what are ToolJet global objects? So global objects are the exposed variables of the application, which are queries, components, globals, and variables itself. So queries consist of list of queries associated with the data source and the respective details. Similarly, components consists of all the components dropped in the editor with its exposed variables as the details. Globals includes the information of a current logged in user, current theme of the editor, and any URL params in the current URL. Variables, whereas this is the place where you can, where if you add a new variable or remove the existing one, it will be there. Accessing those global objects. The syntax is double curly braces with the global variables and the accessor. So if you want to access the loading state of the REST API 1 query, that will be double curly braces inside components.rest API 1 dot is loading. And yep, I think so. We should be building a small application now. That's fine.
Maybe beforehand, Arpit, can you show us how we can access those? I know, can you show us the
Oh,
global
yeah, sure, for sure.
and
We,
also how to access them, all of that?
Yeah. So as supposed to access the REST API data, which is from here, you want to display it in a table, you drop a table, open its widget inspector, add the curly braces, and the keyword is queries. We have the suggestive hints for the REST API and the data. And then we can, I guess we have one user ID as the key. That's, I think so. Yep. And another is tagging. So this is how we can access the data from the global object, and accordingly we can manipulate it. Like for example, if you want to have text and we want the current user email ID, we can just copy the path and directly paste it here. Keep it there, and there we can have a built-in string method. And yeah, that works too. Yes, I guess this is the most simple way to access global objects in ToolJet. Any questions yet? I can't see the chat box. Am I audible?
Yes, Arpit. So
Yeah.
the globals are clear in terms of using accessing the current user. You can also show us a couple of maybe around variables and components that should be also helpful.
Okay. So let's try let's try setting a variable, which can be done with actions. Set variable. We need the key and the value. Okay, we need to run this, sorry. So now we have the key and the value, then we can also unset it. And I have done a typo again, sorry. Definitely need this. So, yeah. And yeah, for components part, we can do the same thing for components. We can return a components value directly from here. Components text dot. Okay, text has no value into it, sorry. We have to drop a text input, or maybe a date picker would be a good example, maybe 12. Date picker value. And we have the date from the component to the query. And then we can use this query to set the text's value. Yep. Yes. Next
Great, this is helpful. And also, Arpit, how do we also get to know about what are all the actions of the components that can be accessible by JavaScript? Will it be possible for us to look through the documentation?
Yes,
Look out
we
for that.
have. So this is the action reference. So we right now we have show alert, log out, run query. We have all the actions listed here, and then we have control component, which are component specific actions available as of now, which you can find in the docs.
Great. And also, how about learning writing to, learn to write JavaScript in ToolJet from the documentation itself? Do we have any sources to learn through more about in terms from the documentation itself?
We do have very basic documentation for learning JavaScript in ToolJet. I would it's more of a how-to tutorial, like what can be done. A very basic snippet is given. You can return the value and the libraries that are currently supported. That's it. Nothing else. Probably we should be adding that too.
Yeah, this is helpful. I think for the people who are also kind of looking forward to learn more about how to use JavaScript, they could definitely refer to the ToolJet documentation in terms of writing the custom JavaScript and using the run.js or everywhere where is needed. So possibly, yes, we are good with the queries, Arpit. Thanks for showing us and letting us know how to use it either. Okay, we are good to go for demo then. I'm more excited now.
Okay. So we'll be using a Postgres data source. Just test the connection once.
Quick heads up, Arpit, what are we going to build, by the way?
So we will be just we'll be building a very basic application with a table component, which will be taking the data from a data source or like PostgreSQL. We'll be having a query to get the data, and we'll write custom JS code to return a SQL query, which will be helpful for doing a bulk update to the data source.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, so we are going to fetch the data from a Postgres DB, and then as we have it, we put that into a table widget of the component here, and then we are going to perform a bulk update using the run.js thing, writing our own JavaScript to do that, right? So great. So the things what we could learn here is majorly about how we could write JavaScript that performs the bulk update and how we could access the component actions or even any other global objects, or however the way so far so forth, whatever we had learned. I think possibly that come to a use case here. So what do you say, Arpit? Are we going to use all of that?
Yeah, we will be using almost everything that we have talked about. Just give me a 1 minute. I forgot my password.
Yes.
Yes. I guess we have a question. Shubham, can you answer that? Till then I'll search the password.
How does current user work for self-hosted? Yes. So Caleb, ToolJet can be integrated with OpenID Connect. It can be integrated with GitHub SSO. It can also be integrated with Google SSO. So you can integrate any of these SSOs just following very basic steps by sharing by like whatever like however the basic integrations works for SSOs, right? You have to give your keys to in ToolJet UX, and we will be able to connect ToolJet with these SSOs, right? So once you connect with these SSOs, and when a user logs in with any of these SSOs, the current user will have information of that particular user coming from that SSO login, right? So we do currently support that, and we have documentation for that on our web docs page, and we can share it now. I'm sharing you the docs here itself. Yeah, Shubhendra has already done it. So yeah, that's the doc. You can access it. It's very easy to set up. Google and GitHub are pretty straightforward.
Awesome. And Arpit,
Yeah.
before you jump onto the demo, can you also let us know what is a bulk update is all about, and why do we really need JavaScript? Can't we do it without JavaScript?
We can do without JavaScript, but is that the values will be getting from a widget, and that can be dynamically updated. So we
So what
don't
is
know
bulk
exact.
update?
Bulk update is basically updating multiple columns in a table. But since we are not aware of what exactly that particular column can be, since we'll be updating directly from the table, a widget ToolJet. So it's much more easier if we have a custom JavaScript snippet written for it, which can handle and create the bulk update SQL query for us.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's go ahead.
Okay, so we have our data source set up. Just let me check everything is working. Yeah, we have. I guess this should be, we can just get data. Where is it? Yeah. So we'll drop a table widget, which will take its source of truth from query itself. Okay. So right now, the return response has ID, a car make, a car model, model year, a VIN number, a chassis number, retail price, color, and price updated. And we only need a few of the fields, so we can use the transformations to get our required data. So the most easiest part, so we'll be using Lodash. So it's a row. Be using just this. We don't need what parts. We don't need the ID for now. We don't need the ID. We don't need the chassis number. And we need to modify the price updated part. Okay, I forgot to have the check syntax, my bad. Yeah. Price updated, we can use a different library. So for now, let's just have this. We'll import a library, format the money. Let's test everything is working fine. We have a syntax error. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay, how did you debug that error, Arpit?
That was a typo, right? So
Okay.
I just looked into it. Yeah. So right now we don't have the ID as well as the chassis number from the response. Now we need to load a custom library. So I have this. Can have it. We'll be using the money formatter library. And yeah, we're good to go. And we need to make the price much more readable. A price updated, we can use moment to get the date. So it's root dot price updated. That, and then we can update the price with the money formatter. So this is the library that we just imported. since it's in USD, and we have route dot retail price. Okay, I guess it's a string. We need to provide a number here. Which should be, we can, I guess, okay, let's see.
So in the number, there is N capital and U capital. Is it normal?
Oh, no, it's not normal. Okay, so we have another syntax error, which so if you run the query, this will be caught on the debugger. So it says a syntax error, a missing parenthesis, or an extra parenthesis. This, okay. Yeah. So now, okay, we don't need the ID. We can remove the ID. For now, and we preview the data. We have the car model bin retail price. Or we can give the ID to user as a unique identifier to update the column. And we can run this query on page load. Fire this. And we don't need the ID to display on the table. That will be car module. We need the color. And maybe price updated. Okay, so we have our required data. We don't need this. Yeah. So I think so you can see there are columns which I have mentioned the key field, and there are some columns which I have not. So I only have given the column name, and it fills the column with the data. But if I remove this field, the data will not be there. So if the column name and key are same, then we don't need to mention the key. It will pick up the key, and the data can be there in the widget, table widget. Okay, now we have to make this editable. So let's make this editable and select this as date picker or a date picker format here. Okay, we can have the format display date as well as the bar state. Yeah. And this also can be a date, and we can make it editable and make this also editable. Now, if I update the first one with 2023, I guess light mode will be better to view the changes, and change the color to red. and then this to black, and again maybe the Q5 to 2018, and we go to the next page and we update the Beatles color to red. So we have made changes to multiple queries, multiple columns, which we can see in the components table or chain set. So we have made on the 9th row of the column model car year to 2018 and color red. Now we can read that's what the custom ranges query will come in handy. We don't know where the user or anyone can update the variable or the column, so it is much more easier to write a code snippet which can compute on the basis of the given column id and unique identifier, and we can create a SQL query to create a bulk update query which can update the database. So we already have documentation for it. So I'll just copy paste that part. That can be easily found on bulk update multiple rows in table. And have to make some changes. Yeah. So we have to create nodes. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Just give me a minute. Oh, that's back. So we'll create one more NGS query. We'll paste our snippet from the documentation. And if we go to the table data updates, okay, we don't have to make changes again. So let's change the Ford Escape to 2016. Maybe Corolla to black. And on the third page, maybe the Continental to 1999, and from crimson to blue. And now we have the data updates of all the 3 columns here. So we do have the ID, which is a unique identifier for our rows. And with that, we can update the columns. So I think so this will work. Let's see if we save and we preview, and we have our SQL query formed. I'm sorry, this is not, yeah. It's visible, right?
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we can now say it is successful, right?
Yeah, it is. Now we can connect this query to, so we can connect this query to the table widget. Click on the events, add an event handler. The event will be bulk update. So the zoom bar is, yeah, bulk update. And we need the action to be run query, and it is run JS2, I suppose. So you can say SQL query for us. And yeah, it's formatted. And now on save, this get fired up. Okay. That's something new. Let's see. Okay, we just It's not editable. Yeah, it's editable. Okay, date picker. Set to 29. Move to the last part. Update only the date. And we have the event associated with it, run query. It's good to go. So on save, it fires the run.js. We can. Okay. Just give me a minute. Let's do. I'm just testing something. Just give me a minute. And if we fire it manually, oh, on manually we have everything. We have the string. Okay, something wrong with table. So on events, bulk update. Okay, let's delete the event. Bulk update. Run query. Get SQL query. And on save, it's fired. And we have it. Okay. Now if I want to update more, black, next page, let the issue will be 289, red to purple, and the last cruise 14, and we save the changes. So now we have 3 array of strings with individual it's update users to set color black where the ID is this. So we can use this in a Postgres query where we'll be using the JS expressions. We can get it from get SQL, and we can simply write that join, and it didn't work. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry, my bad. And we save this and we update it. We have an internal server which is logged over here. Okay, column color relation. Okay. So here we can use a debugger. So we mentioned a table called users, which did not exist in my DB. So I guess over here, I need to make it car. And now again, I have to make some changes. So let's make it only this and this to red. And now if I fire this, the query is completed. And now we have the car table with the car model here, with the ID and this. Okay. And a query success. Now when we can get the new data, we have the new query. Now the field that I updated, I forgot. So let's connect the queries first. So on this run, we can add an event handler on query success. It will call the run query, or we can just name it as an update operation. Yep, good. Yeah. Run query, update operation should run if this success, and if this success, we need to again get the data, fresh data. Let's test for the Volvo. I hope Volvo will be here, or actually, yeah. Let's sort this from the year. So it's Suzuki. Let's change this color to red. We have the bulk update. It's updated. And did we update the color? It was Suzuki. Okay, we have multiple 2010. Yeah, we updated the color to red. Correct. So we can actually have an S, only Audis. All road, let's update the color black, and the Q5 to 20, and the S4 to updated date to 30th. And we update. Okay, we have one more error. Daytime field out of range. Okay. Maybe I did some mistake. Okay, let's go to 11th. To red. Maybe 1999. Save. Oh, very successful. And we have the new data. Yeah, I'm done with the very small app. That's it. Anything you want to add on, Shubham, Teja?
Awesome. That's pretty much it. I feel as you have seen, it is very much possible with writing JavaScript and making it as a query to run along with it. So it's literally possible that you don't need to worry about multiple SQL queries and a lot of things to carry around when you want to perform a bulk update as just has Arpit shown. Thank you for this, Arpit, and it's very much understandable. And I think there is a lot has come through. So possibly we would look for a few more questions that we could wait on. So I'm curious to find any questions and get them addressed. And not only for the writing about JavaScript, but also related to the product. We have engineers and also Shubham is here and Arpit along who had run all of this. So please let us know. We will be hanging on for a while as we move on to the edge. We look forward for further more questions and feel free to unmute yourself and talk about it.
Yes, Akshay. I've already worked the inspector.
Yeah, by the way, debugger has come in handy. So there are a lot of bugs in between. So it's possible with debugger to find them and get it over.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more you can do with debugger. Yeah, maybe in some other day we can talk detailedly about how you could dive into debugger. Awesome. If there are no questions, I'll look for any more from Shubham to add on to this or from anyone else.
I think Arpit pretty well covered everything. Again, to summarize a bit, all I can say is that like ToolJet is basically a low-code platform where we make developers' life easy, where we make it possible that developers can build application faster, right? So our product will always have certain components of coding involved in it so that developers can build experiences which are more appropriate for their businesses, right? Or appropriate for the business requirements. So ToolJet is such a platform which can be tailored into the various requirements. So that is why we will always have a component in the platform where you can write code, where you can build stuff, right? That is what we try to demonstrate today, how developers can make use of ToolJet. So if you think for a second that if you had to build this application from scratch, if you had to build a Bootstrap or React application from scratch, if you had to install React components or whatever library or framework you use, it would have taken you a lot more time than it was possible through ToolJet, right? As Arpit demonstrated. So yeah, this is all about ToolJet, and this is how we are trying to solve a very large problem in tech industry right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that comes in so handy. And thank you so much for all of this, Arpit, and thank you for letting us know about the product and all the walking through, Shubham. So this has been a new style of doing community call. So we had been also, interactive in between, and also the questions are also come in handy. And thanks to the debugger, which had literally helped us in a few situations here. And a lot of things, there is a lot more you could do along with the learnings that you had now. And please, you'd be always welcome to look into the documentation. Also, there are already a few tutorials that extensively used JavaScript to build applications. You can find them at blog.tooljet.com and explore the documentation too. And for any other further questions, you can join our Slack. You can go to tooljet.com/Slack and be there. There is a section, there is a channel general. You can post any of these questions and they will be mostly answered in a few minutes. And thanks again. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Arpit. And thanks to each and every single one of you. And we'll see you in the next updates. We'll be keep posting for further events happening. Maybe it's community calls or maybe other demo hours or any other collaborative calls in moving ahead. And just to remind you again, in every month, last Wednesday, you will be having the community call at this time. So hope to see you again. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.